What is going on, YouTube? We are back with another video, and in this video I want to make a piggyback off of a previous video I made a few weeks ago. And that video talks about how, and I'm going to clip it right here so you guys can know what video I'm referring to, but in that video I talked about how fitness opens up so many doors, so many opportunities, and can create so much change in your life, and you truly never know the impact fitness can have on your life. And in that video I was talking about a buddy of mine from the gym that was telling me he was having like just some vices that he wanted to give up, like smoking, drinking, drugs, things of this nature. He also mentioned, that a lot of the family members he was, surrounded by, friends, etc., had health conditions, some of which had passed away. And he told me like he just wanted to put all that stuff to the side and give it up. He said that he had this back and forth where half of him wanted to give it up and the other half of him was like just so in this routine of, living life with vices, right? And so he basically explained to me how he wanted to give it up, but didn't know if he could. And I told him like you can, you just don't want to, right? And we went back and forth, and basically I didn't push anything down his throat, at least I don't think, but I basically told him like, the person you become from making those choices is the type of person that completely transforms his life. And I got a text from him the other day, and in that text he just basically said like, I just want to let you know that the day after Christmas I quit all that stuff. And that was like 2 weeks ago now, right? Or 3 weeks ago actually now. And it was the coolest text to get. It's like, dude, what the heck, let's actually go. And basically he told me that when he was at the gym that like he wanted to give all these things up, but it was just these bad habits that he was in the cycle with. And I told him like, I've been in certain situations myself where I was drinking or doing whatever, and as soon as I started to put my fitness first, a whole world of opportunity opened up for me. And I remember creating that video because I had such confidence and conviction with talking on that topic, and also just talking about bettering himself and self-improvement, because that's what fitness allowed me to do with my life, is become a better individual, a better man. And so I don't think, had I not been in such a good headspace with my fitness and working out that day, I don't think I would have ever talked on that topic. But because he asked me about it, I decided like to give him my 2 cents and give him my insights. And so it was such a cool, gratifying feeling when he texted me saying like, hey dude, like I listened to what you had to say, like I quit all these things cold turkey, like I quit smoking weed, like I quit drinking. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like that's why I say like fitness genuinely changes so much, because it recreates the way you think about stuff. And for him, when I was speaking with him, I told him like, dude, you're in the gym already, right? Like working out. Imagine how much more disciplined you would be with your nutrition. Imagine how much more dialed in you'd be with your workouts if you gave those things up. Imagine how much better of a father you'd be. Like he was telling me all these things like, I want to be a better father, a better family member, and these sorts of things for the people around me. And I'm like, dude, imagine what you would become if you just decided to just step into that uncomfort and away from the comfort and become that person. And that's what you stepped into becoming. And that's truly why fitness is so amazing, is because it allows you to become a better version of yourself, and it gives you that natural dopamine. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up with, finding unnatural dopamine sources, whether it be from drugs or alcohol, or just be from stimulation of, being out with friends, being out with family, being around people, not being able to work on ourselves. And as a byproduct, what typically isn't optimized is the true possibilities of you and yourself and your life. And for me, that's what fitness allowed me to do, was to create the best version of myself and to work towards bettering myself. And it's so crazy because like that fitness, that I had such a good workout that day, and I remember I got sidetracked and we were talking in the gym, and I was like, you know what, like I'm willing to sacrifice like my workout to talk to this dude because I haven't talked to him in a while. He's a good dude. And then that led to him asking me that question at the end of the workout, and that led to like me feeling a certain sort of sense of just like, I want to say this is just on my mind, like you should like stop, dude, like you should like become the best version of yourself for your kids, for your family, for the people around you, for your friends. And he was telling me like, yeah, but a lot of my friends, they all still do these things. And I'm like, well, be that person that makes a change for the rest of them. And for me, like that's what fitness allowed me to do, is become the best version of myself and to be a role model and to find my purpose of helping other people overcome challenges in their life, because fitness allowed me to overcome so many obstacles in my life. And I think oftentimes we get caught up in this like unnatural dopamine, roller coaster of up and down, just always trying to find the next person to talk to, trying to find the next big thing to do. And we don't find, the true gratification that comes from working on ourselves, from becoming the best version of ourselves from the inside out. So when you start to actually put your fitness first, you start to actually eat quality foods that are not filled with chemicals, that are not altering your brain chemistry like most of them on the shelves are, and you start to actually put quality food in, you start to actually do the internal work, the meditation, the reading books, tapping into your faith, quitting the vices, quitting the bad habits, and you're able to experience how great it actually is from the output you get back. That's when life starts to unfold for you. And so I think that fitness is something that could change every person's life watching this video. And if you're watching this video and you don't have a regular fitness regimen, I would say that you should start incorporating it, right? Because it's going to do a lot of things for you. And for me, each time that I'm focused on my fitness, focused on my dreams, whether it be with my own workouts or starting a fitness business with my own career path or prioritizing my nutrition, all of which have had different, some periods of time I'm more focused on one than the other, but it's always revolved around fitness, and doing that has allowed me to create the life that I want for myself and to feel like I'm helping other people and to actually get feedback like this. And if you can do the same, then it's going to help benefit your life too. Because the thing is, when it comes to fitness, when you're constantly telling yourself, I'm going to do this thing that's uncomfortable, I'm constantly going to better myself day in and day out, it's this positive feedback loop where you become a better individual in the process, and you also become the type of person that enjoys their own presence. And you don't have to have the overstimulation of being caught up in the Joneses or figuring out what the plans are for the weekend. You can actually start to enjoy your life and be at peace. And I think so many times in life we get caught up in this cycle of, when I get that thing, I'm going to be satisfied. When I hang out with this person, I'm going to be fulfilled. When I achieve this next goal, I'm going to be happy. But we oftentimes don't think of the person we're becoming in the process and how much just 1% better every day sort of mindset can shift things for us. And for me, like, that was fitness, because fitness carries over in all avenues of your life. So for me, fitness carried over into me being, a better person in my relationships, a better friend. It allowed me to start to take my nutrition more seriously and understand that not just to look a specific way, but to control the inputs is to control the outputs, right? So like the foods I'm putting into my body is going to affect the way I think about life, the way I perceive life. And so if I'm putting foods into my body, especially ones that are on the shelves, that are on the grocery store, in the fridge, whatever, but they're not quality organic foods, and I'm not going to feel my best, and that's going to make it so that, the perception I have on life is not optimized and it's not the authentic way it should be, right? But when I started to make that shift of eating quality foods, working out consistently, doing cardio, doing all these things, journaling, reading books, reading my Bible, like creating content, working on myself, that's when life started to open up and bear fruits. And I started to find fulfillment from the natural dopamine sources. So for example, going out on a walk, right? Like reading a book, all these things, they bring you a feeling of gratification that you won't feel satisfied with if you're constantly overstimulating with yourself with unnatural dopamine. And so what I talked to with this particular friend of mine was like resetting your dopamine receptors. And I basically had told him, like, dude, like, if you're constantly, like, think about it like this, right? And this is maybe what I'll name the video, right? But you have this baseline here, right? Think about this as like a thermostat, right? Imagine this was a thermostat. You have, you're drinking alcohol, you're smoking weed, you're eating junk food, etc., etc., etc. Each time that you use one of these unnatural dopamine sources, your dopamine receptors, the baseline just kind of decreases a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And now eventually, to get to that same baseline, that threshold of just feeling normal, you need to smoke weed, drink alcohol, do all these things, eat the junk food. And then when you go to do things like eat the healthy foods or go for exercise and go to the gym, it's so hard and there's so much friction there because A, it's not as comfortable and it is unnatural dopamine, so you don't get that instant gratification. It's more of a prolonged thing. But also you need to fill your dopamine receptors back up to the top to constantly get that same sense of stimulation, right? And so what I was talking with this friend about was like, dude, like, if you're constantly doing these habits, as you're telling me you want to quit them, it's going to be very, very challenging for you to find, fulfillment and satisfaction in the everyday things. And he was saying these things. He was telling me that, like, I'm just not finding fulfillment in, like, other areas of my life. I want to put my fitness first. I want to put, like, other things first, like my relationships, my, time with my kids. Like, I want to be able to put that first, but I just feel like, like, I have these bad habits I want to kick. And I'm like, well, dude, like, it is as simple as just kicking these habits, but at the same time, like, it sucks at first from the outside looking in, right? Because you're like, oh, like, I could never do these things. But what I explained to him was like, dude, once you're in, it's so easy looking from the inside out. It's like, why did I ever, like, give these things, like, why did I not get these things up sooner, right? And I basically explained how, like, with your dopamine receptors, when you reset your dopamine to baseline, which basically just means that you cut out all these toxins, all of these unnatural dopamine sources, what happens is your body now starts to become regulated and it starts to actually, find enjoyment and feel the same sense of satisfaction, if not way more, and eventually way more than that it did from, the unnatural dopamine sources, right? So, like, when you're going for a walk, you're going out in the sun, you're going to the gym, you're drinking your water, you're reading the book, you're doing the positive things that you know are bettering yourself. Like, deep down, we all know that these things are way better than the unnatural dopamine sources. Aside from all the risks of your health and these sorts of things, which was a big component for this individual. He had told me that, like, a lot of his friends, like, were drinking, smoking, partying all the time, and a lot of his family members had, like, passed away from things like heart disease and cancer and stuff, and the smoking and stuff. And I was like, dude, like, I feel you, right? Like, you've had family members that have also, unfortunately, passed away from health issues like this and concerns. But what I told him was, like, in addition to, and he basically was just saying that, like, in addition to all of that, he wanted to just become the best version of himself. And, like, I think we all know that, even if, aside from all the health concerns, we know that that's not fulfilling our true purpose here on earth. And, like, we all know that. Everybody watching that video knows that. So like you have to reset your baseline, but at first it's gonna feel like very difficult to eat the broccoli, the chicken, the rice, right? Or to go in the treadmill and run, or to go outside and do the breath work, or any of these things that are not like quick, rapid, unnatural dopamine, that are more natural dopamine. It's gonna take some time to get your baseline receptors back up to the point that they should be at. And so in the beginning it feels so hard, but after a couple of days you realize it's not that bad. And you actually find way more gratification from natural sources, right? So you need to understand that it's always the long versus short term. And I briefly touched on this in an Instagram post I posted this morning on my page, of like, it's either long term or short term, and truly the choice is yours. Like, do you want to have the short term satisfaction, or do you want to have the long term satisfaction? Like, the short term satisfaction is going to be the unnatural dopamine. That's going to be the drinking, the partying, the going out with friends, like doing the stuff that doesn't better yourself. Not to say that going out with friends is bad, but like the things that you know you need to cut out, those are the things that are going to bring you short term satisfaction, but have you feeling unfulfilled in the long term. And the flip side, the things that bring you discomfort in the now, in the short term, are going to bring you long-term fulfillment. So like this individual now is at the point where he's able to, I'm like, dude, like, you don't have to listen to me, you don't have to take my advice, but like, you're asking me for my opinion, my insights, and like, you're telling me you want to quit these things. So like, I'm going to give you my 2 pointers, or my 2 cents, right? And so I told him, I'm like, dude, like, you can do whatever you want, but like, you just told me that you want to be a better father to your daughter, you want to be a better family member, like, why not give these things up? And like, now that long-term fulfillment for him is being that man that he knows deep down he's meant to be. Because like the people that don't care that much, that genuinely, like, I think we all care, but the people that don't really want it that bad, they don't ask these questions. They just, it's whatever. They don't even think it's bad. But the fact that he has awareness around it is like, okay, like he knows that he's made for better. He knows that he has more possibility, more opportunity, more potential than what he is currently living. And so I push that to him because I'm a coach and I can see this from like my clients. Like, I'm like, dude, like, I know you have more in you. Like, I know that you're better than this, and you know you're better than this. But it's hard to like pull yourself out into that best version. And that's why people have coaches. This is why people have mentors in their space that can see them from a different light, right? And so I told this friend of mine, I was like, dude, like, you're the type of person that could be that influence on your kids. That could be the role model that not just I see, but you are deep down. Why not become that person? Like, why not? And he was like, you're right, you're right. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not saying I am right, but what I'm saying is, if you know that's possible, then you should go after that thing. And so like getting a text like that, dude, where he changed this for that long-term vision of like him being a better father, him being a better friend, him being the best possible version of himself, is the greatest feeling in the world. I'm like, dude, like, imagine how much your fitness is going to improve if you do these things, right? And they're all correlated. So now it's like, as his fitness improves, he becomes a better person. As he becomes a better person, like, he's also going to get more jacked. It's like, bro, like, it's a win-win. Like, you can't lose, but you have to look from like is this really worth it, or is it not? And for him, it's like, the fact that he's asking questions like this, it's not worth it for him to be living a lifestyle that doesn't align and is not congruent with the man he wants to be. And so the fact that he quit and gave these things up is like truly fulfilling. And I think the nice thing about fitness is because so many people, when they look at fitness, they don't look at it as, oh, I'm doing it to become a better version of myself. They do it to say, I want to be sexier, right? Like, I want to look better. I want to be in better shape. And so I think a lot of people have the lens of going after fitness as a almost viewpoint of a short-term fix, or the short-term satisfaction because they're going to look good or whatever, right? But on the flip side, like, it's actually creating this loop where it's long-term payoff, right? And so like the fact that people go to the gym to look a certain way or to get into the ideal shape they want to get into, but as a byproduct, just making them a more disciplined, more confident individual, that's truly amazing. And that's one of my favorite things about fitness, because like, you're oftentimes not going to the gym to be a better version of yourself, as much as like people say that, and eventually you get there. A lot of times people start going to the gym to lose weight, to get into shape, to look better, to feel better about themselves, and they start going and they get now looped into this long-term approach of being a better version of themselves, and naturally they start to become disciplined and they start to push aside the other things that don't serve them in their life. And so that's what I really want to touch on in this video, is the fact that fitness can open up a lot of doors of opportunity and possibility for you in your life. And it can make you a better individual if you let it. And that's the video that I'm going to clip right here. This way you guys can go check it out if you haven't already. But that's my rant. And I hope that whoever's watching on the other side of the screen, I hope that you become the version of yourself that you are deep down. I hope you become that person that makes a change in his or her life. Not because other people say you should, but because you know that you are the type of person that can achieve these things, and you truly want to achieve the best version of yourself. That's why you're on this earth, is to become the best version of yourself and to give back, to help people, and to show what it is that your purpose is. And like, my purpose is truly helping people get to that point. And this is why I'm a coach, helping push people to their limits and finding that true fulfillment. And I know that you watching on the other side of the screen want that for yourself, but in order to do that, you need to make some changes. And the changes don't have to be difficult. They don't have to be this thing that sucks. They can be something that you actually look forward to, because instead of attaching the negative reinforcement of like, oh, I need to get away from this pain, I need to get away from this heart disease risk, I need to get away from this lung cancer risk, I need to get away from this toxic relationship, I need to get away from being overweight or being skinny, like all these things. If you instead can attach it to, you're saying, I can't wait to become that type of person that is jacked out of his freaking mind, right? Like the person that is in shape and lost all the weight is the person that finds true fulfillment in the natural dopamine rather than the unnatural, right? The person that finds the long-term satisfaction as opposed to the short-term satisfaction. You're the type of person that can do these things, and you should do these things because it's going to make you a better individual. But you need to just take that chance, because you're not going to experience those benefits until you're on the other side, and it's not going to feel enjoyable at first. A lot of times people find this early sense of motivation, this, spike of confidence, and they feel like super riled up about like getting on the wagon with their goals, and they fall off track. And I think it's because they A, have unrealistic expectations, but B, they think that it's supposed to always feel easy. And you need to keep in mind that it's going to be easy at some points in the beginning, and it's going to suck at other times. But in the long term, it's going to be fun to deal with when you have the life that you want. But if you can attach yourself to the internal reason, like why you're doing this, like becoming a better version, and you can attach it to the best possible version, that pleasure side of like, oh, I can't wait to become that person. I can't wait to get closer to becoming the best man or woman or whatever that I want to be, as opposed to running away from fear. I think it's going to make you propel yourself so much further into whatever it is you want to go in any avenue of life. And like fitness will genuinely change your life if you let it. You just have to tap into it. So that could be starting with something as simple as going on runs or walks, or getting more exercise outside. That could be something like going to the gym one day a week if you're not going at all. If you're already going, then go an extra day, right? Start doing an ab workout, like 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be over the top, but just like start to do it. And as you do that, you'll notice that it gets easier and you actually look forward to these things. And pretty soon on the flip side, you're going to look back and realize that you were in a position far away from where you were before, and you're surprised at how much progress you made just because you actually are starting to fall in love with the journey. And that's where you're going to find the fulfillment is in the middle process, not once you achieve the thing. But if you can attach your why to where it is you want to go, then you're going to get the thing anyways. So I hope that helps somebody out there. If you guys want to check out my shorter form content, J Stroud Fit on Instagram is where you can find me. And for those of you guys that want to hear my step-by-step process on how to achieve your ideal physique, you can go on my Instagram, message me the word AYIP, and I'll see if you're a good fit, to see if I might be able to help point you in the right direction. AYIP, for those of you guys that are not aware, stands for Achieve Your Ideal Physique. It's the name of my coaching program. It's the name of my school community, with my whole course, my modules, everything like that, my community. If you guys want to get in or have questions, like just shoot me a message with the word AYIP, 4 letters AYIP on Instagram, and make sure you hit me with a follow there. And this way I can continue dropping bangers for you guys, and I can directly engage with you on a one-on-one basis if you are looking for some assistance. And if you're not, then make sure you stay for the next video, because I'll see you guys in the next one.